Hello and welcome to National Focus. I'm Tasia Floissac. Coming up, the Honorable Prime Minister condemns the blacklisting of CARICOM and OECS member states. Government approves over $500,000 for feeder roads in Salisbury, and former President of Dominica, Dr. Liverpool, laid to rest. Stay tuned for these and other stories after this.
Did you know the Caribbean Court of Justice is two courts in one? The CCJ has two functions: an original jurisdiction, which deals with your right to move between CARICOM countries freely, and your right to move your money and your business. This is the basis of the CARICOM Single Market and Economy, CSME, and the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, and an appellate jurisdiction to hear appeals from courts of those countries which decide to use it as their final court of appeal and no longer go to the Privy Council. All CARICOM member states who have signed the agreement establishing the CCJ are members of the CCJ.
Thanks for staying with us. The Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit has condemned the blacklisting of 14 Caribbean islands by the European Union as non-cooperating tax jurisdictions. He says this places our jurisdiction in jeopardy and should not be taken lightly. He was addressing a press conference on Tuesday.
We maintain that there is no basis for such blacklisting. It was done without consultation. It was done without engaging of those countries to draw to those countries if there would have been any matter of concern to the European Union. And so while Dominica is not on the list, that for us is not the point. This is about a jurisdiction. This is about our Caribbean community. This is about the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States. And Dominica wants to stand in solidarity with those sister countries in the fight to clear their good name and to restore their countries in the category in which they ought to be.
The Honorable Prime Minister says the decision by the European Union should be reversed immediately. In more news, the government of Dominica has approved over $515,000 towards the rehabilitation of the Salisbury Car-Home feeder road. The first phase, which includes shoulder blading and the removal of vegetation, has already begun. The nation's leader made the announcement at a press conference on Tuesday.
The shoulder blading on the Salisbury side of the road is costing the Treasury $67,000. And that work is ongoing. It's almost completed. And then on the car home section, it's costing us over $41,000. Just shoulder blading.
The second phase will include rigid pavement of the roads.
On the Salisbury side of it, we'll be paving 500 meters as the length and 4 meters wide, and the concrete will be 5 inches thick. And that will be at a cost of $254,495 for the Salisbury section. And on the car home section, which is 300 meters times 4 meters times 5 meters thick rigid pavement on the car home, inches, 5 inches on the car home section, there's $152,697. So the total intervention for that area in question, you're talking about in excess of $515,000.
Contracts for the works have already been approved and will be effected by the Ministry of Public Works. The 2015 graduating ceremony of the Dominica Grammar School focused on fostering an attitude of excellence. 68 graduates listened to the speakers who had words of encouragement and advice. One of the speakers was the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education and Human Resource Development, Marcella Powell. She called on students to adopt an attitude that would foster excellence.
My word to you, therefore, is that you are mindful of the attitudes that lend themselves to your ultimate attainment of excellence. The attitude of self-confidence, the attitude of respect, the attitude of tolerance, the attitude of willingness, the attitude of persistence, the attitude of responsibility, the attitude of giving, and finally, the attitude of gratitude. The world, as we know it, remains a wide open laboratory in which we are free to explore and search for answers to the many questions and issues that seem to plague us.
The featured speaker, Gloria Joseph, shared her views on the graduation's theme entitled, "Excellence is not a skill, it's an attitude."
Certainly, excellence is not a skill, for if it were, it would be part of your school's curriculum. You would have chosen it as a subject. If it were, you would select it as a major in college or even as an elective. If it were, you would become excellent with time and practice. You see, excellence has nothing to do with the color of your skin. It has nothing to do with the surname that you carry, nor the home you were raised in. It has little to do with your academic background, your social standing, nor the material wealth or financial worth of your parents. Excellence is not hereditary, for if it were, you could find a scientific explanation why some attain to it and others don't.
She challenged the graduates to strive to attain the highest level of excellence.
You see, we have all been cultured to embrace complaining about work, a culture that criticizes more than appreciates, a culture that is consumed by the problem and not the solution, a culture that can tell you every reason why it can't work rather than finding a way to make it work. Many of us have adopted the mindset that good is enough. Graduates, I challenge you today to visualize good as the enemy of better and better as the enemy of best. How will you do this? Allow me to share with you some pointers. Work hard and work smart at the same time. See time as your ally and not your enemy. Use every available moment to self-improve. Learn from the best practice and emulate those who are best.
And valedictorian Khalil Charles says an enabling mindset is needed to attain such excellence.
Graduates, as our theme states, excellence is not a skill, it is an attitude. This tells us that if we do not put forth the effort, we cannot attain success. An attitude is not something that is earned, but is a feature of character. Hence, the first step to success is an enabling mindset.
I will make a promise to be true to myself and always be honest. For the rest of my life, I will do what's right. I will do what's right. When I step out on the verge of the rest of my life, top of the world.
In more news, Kellen George, founder of the Sickle Cell Cares Foundation in Dominica, is among 60 exceptional young people from the Commonwealth in London this week. Kellen was on Monday awarded one of the Queen's Young Leaders by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II herself. Kellen and the others are being recognized by the Queen for taking the lead in transforming the lives of others and making a lasting difference in their communities. Before receiving the award at the Buckingham Palace, the young leaders met with the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, David Cameron, as well as executives of Twitter and the BBC World Service. The 60 young leaders will take part in a residential development program which includes workshops at Cambridge University, meetings with UK business leaders, and visits to social action projects. Kellen was born with sickle cell anemia and has endured many health complications. Her decision to establish the Sickle Cell Cares Foundation is based on a desire to raise awareness and help others manage their health care. Just last week, her foundation donated a blood refrigerator to the Princess Margaret Hospital Blood Bank to ensure that blood is readily available for both sickle cell patients and others. Kellen's philosophy is to take every moment and every challenge as it comes.
The advice I would give is to never give up, because I'm not the type of person who's ever given up. I know what my situation is, I deal with it, and I try to move on and try to be happy. There's never been a time you've seen me sad or depressed. You always see me smiling. And I've been through that. I've been through depression periods. I've been through that. But I try my best to keep it positive.
You're watching National Focus. Still to come, Dominicans remember Dr. Liverpool. Stay with us.
Did you know the Caribbean Court of Justice is two courts in one? The CCJ has two functions: an original jurisdiction, which deals with your right to move between CARICOM countries freely and your right to move your money and your business. This is the basis of the CARICOM Single Market and Economy, CSME, and the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, and an appellate jurisdiction to hear appeals from courts of those countries which decide to use it as their final court of appeal and no longer go to the Privy Council. All CARICOM member states who have signed the agreement establishing the CCJ are members of the CCJ.
Welcome back. Dominica's sixth president has been interred at his final resting place in his own community of Grand Bay. The ceremony took place at the Grand Bay Catholic Church. GIS's Jana Hector brings this report.
Dominica's former president, Dr. Nicholas Joseph Orville Liverpool, has been laid to rest. In a somber ceremony on Friday, June 19th, former colleagues, mentees, international, regional and local friends, loved ones and family came to say goodbye to a national treasure. Dominica's president, His Excellency Charles Salisbury and Mrs. Salisbury, Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit and Mrs. Skerrit, Honorable Speaker of the House of Assembly Alex Boyd Knights, members of Cabinet and Parliament, members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, former President Mr. Eliud Williams and Mrs. Williams, and friends of Dominica paid their respects to a man hailed far and wide as one of the greatest legal minds of the Caribbean. That included the Governor Generals of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Kitts and Nevis and Antigua and Barbuda, the Honorable Prime Minister of St. Lucia, Dr. Kenny Anthony, Justices of the OECS Supreme Court, Governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, Sir Dwight Venner, Baroness Patricia Scotland, and so many others who have crossed paths with the former president. Main celebrant Bishop Gabriel Malzer, in his homily, spoke the sentiment that was no doubt on many minds on Friday.
It is a loss on many levels. I think I would be correct in saying that the magnitude of today's attendance is indicative of the enormity and the multi-leveled nature of that loss. Persons have hailed from far and wide to be part of this sacred and national moment. In the media the past few days, a great deal has been said about the one whom we celebrate today. His personality, his impressive credentials, his altruism, his numerous achievements, his dedication to work, his love for family and country, all contributing to the sum total of the person whom we know as Dr. N.J.O. Liverpool.
Here are other scenes from the service.
None of us lives for oneself, and no one dies for oneself. For if we live for the Lord, and if we die for the Lord. So then, whether we live or die, we are the Lord's.
Nick was given the promise of eternal life in baptism. Lord, give him communion with your saints forever. Lord, hear us.
We pray for our brothers and sisters, our relatives, for all who were close to us and good to us. Lord, give them the reward of their goodness. Lord, hear us.
We pray for all who have died in the hope of us rising again.
Welcome them, Lord, into the light of your presence. Lord, hear us.
Dr. Nicholas Liverpool has had a long and illustrious career in law and is renowned throughout the region. He has lectured in Ghana, he has helped to open a law school for the government of the Bahamas, and was the Dean of the University of the West Indies. Dr. Liverpool served as High Court Judge in Antigua and in Montserrat, and as Justice of Appeal in Grenada, Belize, and the Bahamas. He also served as Dominica's ambassador to the U.S., as well as on several boards, tribunals, and commissions, including the UNESCO Governing Board. Dr. Liverpool was awarded the Dominica Award of Honor in 2003, and the Porcasse to Marigot Road was named in his honor last year. News of his death has elicited messages of condolence from distinguished regional organizations and professionals to his family and his country. Dr. Nicholas Joseph Orville Liverpool was Dominica's 6th president and served 2 terms. He died on June 1st, 2015, just 3 months before his 81st birthday.
Dominicans, both local and overseas, have agreed that former President Dr. Nicholas Liverpool will be missed for the impact he has had on the lives of those who knew him. GIS News spoke with some mourners at the state funeral last Friday, and we now bring you some of their memories.
I feel so sorry. I feel so sorry, because he was a good man. I'm telling you, he was a good man.
He was one very interested in Dominica and in the youth, and anytime he knew of something for young persons, because I work in the juvenile court, he would call me and speak to me about it. If there's something, he would at least put me on to that. In fact, sometime about a couple of years ago, some persons from New York came to him with some programs on alternative sentencing, and he called me and discussed it with me, and because of that I also spent some days in New York going to courts and looking at and also visiting programs, and I think this also helped in terms of how I have had, in terms of what I've had to contribute to the OECS, because right now we have a juvenile justice reform project. What I remember about him also is he always had a joke, and he had this sort of coy smile. I mean, whenever you're around him, even if you would listen and be serious, there was some moment at which you would have to smile.
The last function I met him was, I was introduced to him in the receiving line at Fort Young for the President's dinner, and I wore a few more medals than this, and I was a little bit embarrassed. I said, I'm overdressed, I'm sorry. And he said, not at all. He said, you earned those medals, wear them with honour. So I'm wearing them with honour for him, especially today.
Dr. Liverpool was a personal friend of mine because of our family connection, and I feel a great sense of loss. I have sympathized with the extended family. Dr. Liverpool meant so much to me because we shared so many moments together. So I'm really saddened by his passing, and I know Dominica and the Caribbean, the world by extension, have lost a great son.
He was my advisor, my confidant, everything I needed, I could call on him. Well, we didn't live very far from each other, and if he called me at any time, I'd go to see him immediately. If I wanted to see him, he'd see me right away. Very humble man, very quiet, very bright. Never any advice he gives you, you better ensure it's right. It's the best advice you can get.
Local entrepreneur Herbert Suki Winston wore his Dominica Grammar School uniform in honor of his departed friend who had once lamented that he had not done enough to give back to his alma mater. Suki will remember this particular quote from Dr. Liverpool.
Don't ask for more than what you actually give to life. And those are the words, and fortunately enough, those were the words that he mentioned to me, he uttered to me on the last day in office as the president of the state of Dominica. Just half an hour before he left office, he called me in and we had a one-to-one chat. And those were the words that he left with me. And he said, whatever happens, please carry the baton of good friendship.
Dominicans and countless others will no doubt remember Dr. Nicholas Joseph Orville Liverpool for decades to come. And before we leave, here's one announcement. The Honourable Parliamentary Representative for the Grand Fork constituency, Ivor Stevenson, will hold town hall meetings at the following dates and times. Wednesday, June 24th at 6 p.m. at the Grand Fork Community Hall, Monday, June 29th at Cyrilla's Place in Montjean, and Tuesday, June 30th at Ibex 20 at Rivière-Syrique. Villagers are asked to make every effort to attend and be on time, as there are important matters to discuss. And that's the English news. McPherson St. Luce is next with the Creole highlights.
Allô tout le monde, bienvenue à cette nouvelle en créole. Non, moi, c'est McPherson St. Luce. Premièrement, Premier ministre Honorable Roosevelt Skerritt, ensemble et puis d'autres membres cabinet chaîne conférence média journée. Premier ministre Skerritt discutait plusieurs bagailles que le gouvernement Dominique a engagé à dedans. Premièrement, Premier ministre a parlé contre les affaires qui concernent electoral reform et des lois qui concernent l'élection en Dominique, toujours pour des résultats qui juste bagaille mon pays a voté pour. Quand même, Premier ministre a parlé ça, dit qu'il est bien nécessaire pour revisiter ces lois salam et puis identifier où là ça avancé. Et pour cela, Premier ministre a dit qu'il est bien aware que la loi pays a protecter loi citoyen pour voter. Papier moun qui en web pour voter supposé en ordre pour faire assurer que ces moun ça ça voter et puis nous ayons rester à ces listes là. Ça fait transportation pour moun voter en web et puis loi là et puis ça supposé il pas supposé autrement Premier ministre a dit. C'est le Premier ministre Skerritt et aussi mentionné que carte identité en place avant l'autre élection générale et puis en effort cela gouvernement a tient un commitment qui commission élection là ni tout bagage nécessaire pour faciliter le travail à eux. Nous connaissons plus de détails du Premier ministre Skerritt ainsi on l'autre détail nouvelle en créole. En la nouvelle pêcheur Wankachakou a dans meilleure position à présent, ça fait on la Petro-Caribe ouvert station pétrole. Parole celle-là sur le membre du Parlement, Honorable Ian Pinard.
Les fishermen là, depuis il y a 20 années, ils ont parlé qu'on a gas station. Et puis ils ont dit nous avons besoin de gas station, c'est un problème pour nous pour aller aux eaux avec assez comporte bien gaz. Nous devons mettre des containers devant le monde pour aller en boss. Et puis nous devons aller en van. Et puis ils ont nous partir l'argent. Et puis le gouvernement, et puis Petro-Caribe, ils ont venu et puis ils ont fait une gas station à Kachakou. Et puis, les gens Kachakou Kota, les pêcheurs Kachakou souffouillent, et puis là, ils Kota, et puis ils ont venu nord, et puis ils ont tapé gaz sur n'importe quoi, ils ont dans Petro-Caribe, et le gouvernement. So, tout ça, nous avons fait pour improve le monde. Et puis, ça, il y a le gouvernement qui a fait. Nous avons fait tout le bagage pour make sure nous create improvement dans le monde à Dominique, et puis improvement dans le monde à Soufrière constituency. So, depuis nous venons en 2000, Et puis, en 2015, moun soufouye kachakou galen avec la poète. You guys will level standard living, you improve.
D'autres nouvelles, compagnie Dexia a organisé un séminaire qui a concerné intellectual property rights. Séminaire là qui a targeté moun qui engagé en production bagaille comme musique, livre et d'autres bagailles encore. Ça a pris place pour 2 jours en Dominic semaine là. Selon General Manager Dexia Gregoire Thomas, séminaire là qui a tombé en bas objectif National Export Strategy, bagaille qui a transformé plusieurs secteurs économiques payants et puis aussi mettez attention à ces bagailles qui pour et puis d'autres opportunités pour monde qui a un service de protection travailleurs. Plusieurs aspects qui concernent international property rights, comme copyright, ça c'est monde pas supposé servir travail en l'autre monde sans droit parmi d'autres bagailles qui a tapé attention. C'est maintenant ça là qui a aussi targeté manufacturers, habitants, moun agro-processing, industry culture et puis affaires cinéma. M. Marc Marie qui a facilité ce séminaire. Et puis finalement, on Dominic qui établit Fondation Sickle Cell, Kellen George, en parmi 60 jeunes moun hors pays Commonwealth qui en l'Angleterre semaine salam, on a aussi vu l'on hors when Elizabeth l'Angleterre. George et puis c'est les autres là recognisés pour l'année salam pour travailler à la transformation de la vie d'autres monde et puis aussi qu'a fait une différence en communauté ailleurs. Avant ces jeunesses là aussi voué l'année ailleurs, ils ont joint et puis premier ministre de l'Angleterre David Cameron, executive director Twitter et puis BBC. Ces participants là qui aussi prend part en workshop, ils ont joint et puis mon business l'Angleterre et puis aussi ils ont visité plusieurs projets. Messieurs, mesdames, ça c'est tout nouvelle en créole pour à présent. Non moins, c'est McPherson St. Luce. Au revoir.
Coming up next, your daily tip.
Get in and fasten your seatbelt, okay?
Mom, why do I have to wear seatbelts? I do not want to.
James, when I ask you to fasten your seatbelt, please do as I say. It's for your own safety and protection, okay?
Yeah.
Protect yourself, protect the child. Always fasten your seatbelt. Crashes can happen at any time. It is better to be safe than sorry. Remember, seatbelts save lives. A message brought to you by the Violence and Injury Surveillance System Committee in collaboration with the Pan American Health Organization.
Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you just could not stay awake? Let's face it, we've all been there. However, you can't afford to fall asleep at work, during a business meeting or in school, among other places. One easy trick to stay awake is to hold your breath for as long as you can, and following that take a few short rapid breaths to increase your heart rate. You get a rush of awareness and the sleepiness goes away. It's your body's response to danger of suffocation by supplying adrenaline to the brain when threatened and keeps you awake. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. We always welcome your suggestions and comments. Drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm or visit our website news.gov.dm. Like our Facebook page, facebook.com/GIS News Dominica, and follow our Twitter at GIS Dominica. You can also catch up on past National Focus newscasts on our GIS Dominica YouTube channel. From all of us here on the GIS News production team, I'm Tasia Floissac. Thanks for watching and join us again next time on National Focus.